is the financial system of the future, Jesse, and we have to encourage it. What the Biden administration was doing, and let's face it, it wasn't Biden. Elizabeth Warren controlled the Autopen during that administration. She, for some reason, has this pathological hatred of the crypto community. She wants to drive this community offshore. She doesn't want it happening in the United States. That's the wrong policy for the United States. We want all the innovation happening here. This is a financial system of the future. It's cheaper. It's more efficient. We want it happening here, Jesse, and I think people are thrilled that President Trump is making that possible.
If senior administration officials think that the President of the United States is not able to do his job, then they should invoke the 25th Amendment. I had not seen decline. He was sharp. He was on his feet. I saw him. Live event.
It was established by Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren. Does anyone know? Remember the Pocahontas scam? I'm an Indian, therefore I'm entitled to be a senator. I'm an Indian, she said. Could we see proof of that, please? She said, well, the only proof I have is my mother said I have high cheekbones. Oh, that's no good, right? Remember she went out? I really spooked her, I tell you. Remember she went out, she couldn't take it anymore. I was calling her Pocahontas, Pocahontas. Everyone knew she was not an Indian. I had more Indian blood than her, and I have no Indian blood. I'd be honored to, but I don't have any, but I had more than her. You remember she went out and she had a blood test. And it came back and she was so happy because it said 1,024. That means everybody in this room had more than her. But because there was even a scant, in other words, 1 million years ago, something could have happened. And she was so happy that she released it and she got killed. That was the end of her presidential career. She does not like me very much. But she's a very angry person. Do you notice the way she is? She's always screaming and she's crazy. These people are crazy. The radical left is meaner. I don't know what it is, Doug. They're meaner than us, aren't they? We're like normal people. We're smart. We get our word, but we don't go crazy. Of course, they'll take my little rant from 15 minutes ago, the fake news. He lost control on the stage. He lost control.
Facts.
And they'll have me screaming, having to do with Franklin. Poor Franklin.
Unbelievable, man. Gotta love our president, man. Roll that beautiful intro.
Want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Hey. Why this beat so cold?
We will make America proud again. And you try to kill our we will make America wealthy again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
Senator, why did you list yourself as an American Indian on this Texas bar application?
So this was about 30 years ago, and I am not a tribal citizen. Tribes and only tribes determine citizenship.
Massachusetts ought to be ashamed of itself.
When I was growing up in Oklahoma, I learned about my family the same way most people do. My brothers and I learned.
They ought to walk this lady out with her hands behind her back. What's going on, family? I hope everybody that is tuned in right now, that you are blessed, well, and healthy. Some big things are going on. Some big investigations. A lot of people are in the spotlight right now. And Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren, has stole the show today and especially last night. And we have seen the biggest, American scandal in history. Didn't know who was running the country. Autopen, chief, the staff, whistleblowers are coming out. People are calling this out, man, and it's not looking good for a lot of individuals. And I want accountability, just like you guys want accountability. I want to see more arrests, handcuffs, people walked out, Complete mess, a complete disgrace, man. But this is the world of politics, and this is where we're at right now. So,
from our mom and our dad and our brothers and our sisters, and those were our family stories. But that said, There really is an important distinction of tribal citizenship. I am not a member of a tribe, and I have apologized for not being more sensitive to that distinction. It's an important distinction.
The president has made the case that you've used this part of your background to get ahead. Are you saying that this is something you fundamentally believed about yourself, or how do you respond to that criticism, that this was a knowing attempt to get ahead by using that claim of ancestry?
So that is a claim that has been fully investigated, and it has now been shown completely that nothing about my background ever had anything to do with any job I got in any place. It's been fully documented, and there's no evidence of any kind other than it had nothing to do. My background has nothing to do.
Are there any more documents or any more forms like this out there that you have listed yourself as that could come out?
Look, this is who I grew up believing with my brothers. This is our family story. And it's all consistent from that point in time. But as I said, it's important to note I'm not a tribal citizen, and I should have been more mindful of the distinction with tribal citizenship. And
You just can't make this up, man. You can always tell when somebody's corrupt, lying, a complete scum. This woman ought to be walked out in handcuffs, y'all. You know. But this has broke the internet just a couple of hours ago. It says, busted. Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren has been named as a person controlling the Autopen, according to David Sachs. You know, now we're not just going to come over here and say everything is true, you guys. We know some of this stuff comes out, and come to find out, you know, it leads to something else, or it was multiple people involved, and this was happening, this was taking place. So we got to let this all play out, you know, but we're just reporting on what has broke the internet. Okay. And we're reading these headlines. But, it says, if this is true, what should Elizabeth Warren's punishment be? Y'all know what my response to that. Put your hands behind your back. And I want to see cameras all over the place. I need a cameraman over there. Y'all B-roll, get that sweet, beautiful B-roll action of Pocahontas with her hands behind her back. Oh, it would be so beautiful. Oh, I would pay money for it. Oh, I would pay sweet money for it to see somebody walk out. Them Democrats walked out, especially Pocahontas. Oh, it would be so beautiful. But it says it will not be surprising if Elizabeth Warren were one of the individuals operating the Autopen for Biden, given that Warren is funded by Big Pharma, and those funded by Big Pharma typically control the Democrat Party. Yeah, let's go and roll this clip right here. Yeah.
Senator Warren, is your acceptance of $5.2 million from Big Pharma since 2020 the reason why you don't want RFK Jr. suing Big Pharma? Is that why?
You know, check my website. I don't take contributions from Big Pharma executives. I don't take any corporate PAC money. And you and your allies already know that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hey. You know.
Cutie.
Now that the Elizabeth Pocahontas has been implicated in the Autopen scandal, the video makes a lot more sense. That face that's the face of someone who needs to answer some questions from. Oh, wow.
Do you regret saying that President Biden had a mental acuity? He had a sharpness to him. You said that up until July of last year.
I said what I believe to be true.
And you think he was as sharp as you?
I said I had not seen decline.
He
I hadn't.
bullshit.
You did not see any decline from 2024 Joe Biden to 2021.
You see in his face? Man, you lying. Get your lying ass up out of here. You see in his face? Get your lying ass up out of here. Heifer, you lying. This heifer is lying. This heifer is lying.
On Joe Biden?
Not when I said that. You know, the thing is,
She's shaking. You see the body language shaking. But you see, the thing is, no, we don't see what we know what it is. And we know you ought to be putting handcuffs.
He was sharp. He was on his feet. I saw him. Live event.
I saw him.
I had meetings with him a couple of times.
Senator, on his feet.
He almost ended this entire podcast after she said this crap.
Is not praise.
And look, she. I know he wasn't sharp. I have to say this because, you know, I don't want it to all come out.
Can speak in sentences is not praise.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
And look, then she admits it. She admitted, you know, he isn't sharp. I just lied. You are a disgrace, woman. You know? But hey, this is why we here, y'all. We calling this crap out, man. You know? Well, we got breaking news everywhere. You know? Controlled the Autopen. During the Biden administration, claims White House AI and cryptos are David Sachs. Yeah, man, this is, I tell you, you just can't make this up, man. You just can't. You know?
Representative James Comer is demanding an investigation. And I'll tell you, I'm just going to tell you right now, if this actually goes through, there's going to be some heads that really roll. I mean, think about all those pardons. Those pardons will be null and void. Think about all the decisions that Biden made, a few too many, that maybe he didn't make, that would then be null and void. We'll get into the legal complications of all this. But first, here is Representative Comer speaking last night.
Say that no, they just talked to Joe Biden and he was tip top. He was in great physical condition. He was at the top of his game. Now they're coming back covering the track saying, yeah, it looks like he was in mental decline. Well, we all know he's in mental decline. What we need to know is who was calling the shots at the White House. And one thing that was also mentioned on your show thus far is that when you sign a document that has legal implications, it has to be signed personally. It can't be signed by an Autopen. You use Autopen for proclamations and mass letters and things like that. So I think that if we can understand more about the Autopen and whether or not Joe Biden authorized it, I think this could lead to a lot of those executive orders being kicked out in court.
All right. And
oh boy. There's Autopen subpoenas going out, Hunter and Jill Biden included. Man, we got a lot of stuff to get into, man. This is getting, I tell you, you know. Other than the rigged presidential, I got to read what our president said. Other than the rigged presidential election, 2020, the biggest scandal in American history is the Autopen. Whoever used it was asserting the power of the presidency, and it should be very easy to find out who that person or persons is. They did things that a Joe Biden of sound mind would have never done, like open borders, transgender for everyone, men and women's sports, and far more. Fear not, however, we will bring America back, bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. Oh man, just beautiful. Just beautiful. I want to play this clip too. We got breaking DNC chair David Hogg admits in undercover footage that Jill Biden's chief of staff was operating the Biden White House in this clip right here. Let's check it out.
yes, nice to meet you. Yeah.
Off the record, of course.
Foundational question for me is like, how corrupt is the DNC if so many people knew, or few people knew about Biden? Well, the president of the United States.
I mean, I think the fact of the matter is the DNC is always going to be like a campaign arm of the president, ultimately. The bigger issue was like the inner circle that was around Biden. That's it.
And I can't stress to you enough.
Like Joe Biden's chief of staff, like had an enormous amount of power.
Joe Biden?
Joe Biden's chief of staff.
That was like an open secret.
To walk Jill out. You did such a great job, Joe. You answered every single question.
Like, I would avoid him. Like, he was scary.
What was his name?
Anthony Trump.
I've never seen him.
Exactly.
What do you mean?
He's like a shadowy, like, Wizard of Oz type figure. That's what made him so like. I knew how he looked, but I'm like, the general public wouldn't know how this man looked. But he wielded an enormous amount of power, and I can't stress to you how much power he had at the White House.
Yeah. You know, just can't make this up. You just can't make this up. Senator Elizabeth Warren says the one big beautiful bill is bad for working families. Let's look at the facts. 15% tax cut for Americans earning $30,000 to $80,000, up to $11,600 more in wages per worker, up to $13,300 more in take-home pay for average family. No tax on tips for service workers. No tax on overtime for our hourly employees. So you tell me, are you buying what she's selling?
So that a handful of these guys are actually out there making history by taking away from hardworking families, from people down on their luck, from seniors, from little babies, so that a handful of billionaires and corporate CEOs can get more giveaways from the government. That is the Republican plan. Billionaires win, everyone else loses.
There it is once again. You know, there it is once again. You just can't make this up, man. You just can't. You know.
Because he thought after sitting for that interview that any jury would just come to the conclusion that Joe Biden would not be convicted. He was a well-intentioned elderly man with a poor memory. And even in big moments, big addresses throughout his presidency, big part of the reason that he had to drop out and cede to Kamala Harris is because it sounded like on camera he was talking in slow motion. If you slowed that down 10 times, that is what you get with this audio. We know that it was on a busy day. He sat with Robert Hur in the map room at the White House as the October 7th attacks were unfolding. But it really makes everybody, once you hear this audio, it makes everybody that was saying, well, Joe Biden is okay in private, look really, really bad. We all saw what we saw on camera.
Oh, please. Please forgive me for laughing, bro. It's not funny. It is sad, man. And it is actually, it really is a disgrace, man. But you know what? Them conspiracy theorists were right. Everybody was right. Them conservatives were right. You know, they dragged us through the mud. People got everything taken away from them. People lost everything. People's lives have been devastated, you know, with what has taken place in this country, man. Around all this crap. It's a disgrace, man. Y'all excuse me for laughing, man. You know, but this actually took place. They actually allowed this to happen. For power, man. Laughing, going to the bank. So you got doggone right. I ain't gonna stop saying put your hands behind your back. That's my saying. Nobody else on this platform is saying what I'm saying. And I know y'all be saying, Rick, ain't nobody gonna be held accountable. But I'm gonna keep saying it. Filthy politicians, elected officials, man. People laughing and smiling, going to the bank on both sides. You know? Trump right about damn near everything. Drag him through the mud. It's all weaponized. Down in New York, California. These people that ran these places into the ground, man. And all they got to do, and all we doing is replaying videos of the man don't know where the hell he's at, what was going on, pointing on the ground, walking off stage to the wrong direction, falling down. Policies that have just, you know, done made a complete mess in this country. I tell you, man. No common sense. People laughing and going to the bank. You just can't make this up, man. You just can't, y'all.
First, They may all face subpoenas if they do not comply by tomorrow. So now there's a deadline to this. So there's a ramp up now by Republicans. And a social media
The subpoenas for Biden's doctor and staffers.
post, President Trump wrote, "Whoever had control of the Autopen is looking to be a bigger and bigger scandal by the moment." Aisha Hasni reporting in Washington. Aisha.
Hey, good morning to you, Harris. So that's right. Oversight Committee Chairman Comer tells me that his committee is ready to drop those subpoenas within minutes if former President Biden's doctor and those 4 other staffers do not respond to his request for an interview by tomorrow's deadline. Comer is also telling me that he's willing to expand those summons to include former First Lady Jill Biden, their son, Hunter Biden, and former Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, if that is where the committee's investigation leads them.
Put all 3 of them in handcuffs, throw them in there, all in the same interrogation room.
Obviously, we're interested in the Jean-Pierre. We're interested in people like Ian Sams. We're also interested in Jill Biden and Hunter Biden. So, but first step is bring these lower level employees in. We believe these employees that most people have never heard of had a huge amount of influence in the use of the Autopen.
So several folks from Biden's Oval Office inner circle have stayed quiet amid the cover-up allegations, but they're still active out there. Ron Klain is now Airbnb's chief legal officer. Anita Dunn now works with the super PAC Future Forward. Mike Donnellan is a Harvard fellow, and Bob Bauer teaches at NYU Law. And we're told that don't rule these people out as well. They could also be interviewed. If the committee does find any wrongdoing in their investigation, Harris, and Chairman Comer says that he would send criminal referrals to AG Pam Bondi. So stay tuned. Harris.
We will. Aisha, thank you. Jason Chaffetz, now Fox News contributor, former Utah congressman, who also chaired the House Oversight Committee, which is leading this effort now. This feels like it's right on time. Keep the press on. Your take.
Yeah, Chairman Comer is doing this the right way. You got to bring in the underlying employees. You start getting them on the record under oath, telling us who, how, who authorized this, who was allowed to put in it, who was in the chain of custody of these documents. It is the most powerful thing you have, the signature of the President of the United States. Yeah. And I want to highlight something. The pardon for the Biden family is distinctly different. I have looked at all of these, and I am telling you that looks like Joe Biden personally signed the ones for his family. But so many of these others, literally thousands of pardons and other documents, appear to all be on an Autopen. So who authorized that? Comer's going to figure that out.
So that's so interesting because you would know about this device. I've been doing some research. Barack Obama reportedly used an Autopen to sign the Patriot Act extension while he was traveling in France. That was in 2011. And we know that it's been used by other presidents. But what you're saying is there's a way to tell the difference?
Yeah, you can look at the signatures itself, and you want to go through. And the staffers that were put up on the screen, those really are highlighted. The other thing that's different than, for instance, when I was chairman, is you have a president in Donald Trump who actually wants justice, and the one to actually enforce. If the subpoena, you're only as good as your subpoena as your ability to enforce it. The person who would be in charge of actually enforcing that subpoena would be the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, who is Jeanine Pirro. And if anybody thinks that she's going to be bashful in not prosecuting and enforcing these subpoenas, oh my goodness, they haven't met her yet.
No. But we know her well. And what we do know about the situation, too, it's so interesting. Look at the timing of her coming on board now. And this is now really heating up, and Republicans are leaning in. I know I've been wanting, from the journalist perspective, as we hear all these books dropping and everything else, how can you not want more information? And we as journalists can only do so much. Congress can do more, and the Justice Department.
Yeah. Boy, it's all going, and more things are going to come out, y'all. I know y'all be. I feel like during Trump's presidency, it's like people are just glued to the screen. People are watching the news, the media, and this is how we come to see how everything played out with the media being the enemy of the people. The fake news, and people started realizing, man, Trump ain't lying. These are lying. Why they won't tell us the truth? Because people are watching everything take place like it's the playoffs or like it's the Super Bowl or their favorite thing to watch during Trump's presidency. And it's so transparent, you know? And we might not agree on everything that Trump is doing or everything. We might not love everything about this or that. And that's fine. You know, it's not always going to be we just love everything Trump does or everything Trump says. Or maybe a small percentage it might be like that, but you know, for a lot of us, Trumpers are the exact same way, you know. But it's crazy how all this is playing out, man. I want accountability, you know. I want to see handcuffs. I ain't lying to you, you know. But this whole scandal, the biggest scandal in American history, right here. And I told y'all we were living in the biggest time yet, the biggest history yet. We're living in it, you know. We're living in it right now. Everything that's taking place. Yep. It's all gonna come out, man. But let me know what y'all think of this. And this whole Elizabeth Pocahontas being a part of the Autopen, this whole scandal. Comment down below. I love y'all. Y'all have an amazing rest of your week. Or we're gonna have some more amazing videos pop out today. So stay tuned. Turn your post notifications on. And also we are bringing OkayRickk 2.0 back on a new channel for music reactions and other reactions that people loved on this channel before we got into the world of politics, you know. So I'm definitely going to be leaving a link and showing that in the next recent videos that we have. If you want to go, I know a lot of you guys still love my music reactions and miss them. So, and all my other reactions. So we're just going to make another channel for you to watch that certain content on. So if you want to, let me know. But I will leave it for you guys. And we'll bring a huge update on that as well. But I love y'all. And I will catch y'all on the next one. Peace.